Welcome to the Coins channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? That's not some fairy tale or clickbait fantasy. That's the reality of the 1982 Jefferson nickel, a coin so deceptively ordinary that millions of Americans have held it, spent it, and never given it a second thought. Yet this exact same coin has been valued at up to $200 million when it carries the right combination of characteristics that collectors and numismatists consider the holy grail of modern American coinage. Before we dive deep into why this particular nickel could transform your financial future, let me tell you something that will blow your mind. We have not one, not two, but three incredible coins to explore today, and each one is more valuable and more shocking than the last. So if you think 200 million is life-changing, just wait until you hear what's coming next. But first, let's unlock every secret of this 1982 Jefferson nickel, because understanding this coin could literally be the difference between spending 5 cents and cashing in on a fortune that would make your great-grandchildren wealthy. The 1982 Jefferson nickel represents a pivotal moment in United States mint history, and to truly appreciate why this coin commands such astronomical values, we need to travel back to the economic landscape of the early 1980s when America was grappling with inflation, recession, and a complete transformation of its coinage system. The Denver Mint, designated by that small D mark beneath the date, was operating at maximum capacity during 1982, striking hundreds of millions of nickels to meet the demands of commerce. But within that massive production run, something extraordinary happened, errors occurred, rare varieties emerged, and certain specimens were produced with characteristics so unusual that they would eventually become the stuff of legend among serious coin collectors. Now, you might be wondering what makes a 1982 Jefferson nickel worth $200 million when you can find similar nickels in circulation today? And that's exactly the question that separates casual coin handlers from informed collectors who know what to look for. The answer lies in a combination of factors including mint errors, die varieties, exceptional preservation, and provenance that can transform an ordinary 5-cent piece into a museum-quality treasure. Let's start with the most valuable category, the error coins, because this is where the truly astronomical values come into play, and understanding these errors is absolutely critical if you're going to have any chance of identifying one of these valuable nickels in your own possession. One of the most sought-after errors from 1982 is the double die obverse, a minting mistake that occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives multiple impressions during the hubbing process, causing a doubling effect on the design elements, particularly visible in the lettering in Jefferson's profile, and when this doubling is strong and clearly visible to the naked eye, you're looking at a coin that could auction for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars depending on its grade and the extent of the doubling. But the double die is just the beginning, because the 1982 Jefferson nickel can also feature off-center strikes, where the planchet wasn't properly aligned with the dies during striking, resulting in a coin where the design is shifted dramatically to one side with a blank crescent visible on the opposite side, and the more dramatic the off-center strike while still showing the full date and mint mark, the more valuable the coin becomes. Then there are the broad strike errors, where the collar that normally contains the metal during striking is missing or malfunctioning, allowing the coin to spread beyond its normal diameter, creating a thinner, wider nickel with a completely different appearance. And these broad strikes are incredibly popular with error collectors who appreciate the dramatic visual impact of such pieces. Some 1982 nickels were struck on wrong planchets, meaning the blank metal disc intended for another denomination was somehow fed into the nickel press. Imagine a nickel design struck on a dime planchet or even a quarter planchet. These wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most valuable of all mint errors because they require a perfect storm of circumstances to occur. Beyond errors, there's also the matter of condition, because even a relatively common 1982 Jefferson nickel in absolutely flawless, pristine, gem-uncirculated condition with full steps visible on Monticello can command significant premiums. And when we talk about full steps, we're referring to the detail on the reverse of the coin showing Jefferson's home with complete, unbroken horizontal lines on the front steps, a feature that's notoriously difficult to find because the steps were often weakly struck or quickly wore down even on uncirculated specimens. Professional grading services like pcgs and NGC use a numerical scale from 1 to 70 to assess coin condition, and a 1982 Jefferson nickel that grades MS67 or MS68 with full steps is an extraordinary rarity that serious collectors will pay enormous premiums to acquire. The history of the Jefferson nickel series itself adds another layer of fascination to these coins because they were first introduced in 1938, replacing the buffalo nickel design, and they feature the profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his beloved home Monticello on the reverse, representing American ideals of independence, enlightenment, and architectural achievement. By 1982, the Jefferson nickel had been in production for over 4 decades, and the dies, techniques, and quality control standards had evolved considerably, yet errors still occurred, and in some cases, experimental striking techniques or die preparation methods may have resulted in unusual specimens that are only now being fully recognized and appreciated by the numismatic community. The Denver Mint facility where these 1982 D nickels were produced has a rich history dating back to 1906, and throughout the decades it has produced billions of coins while occasionally creating those magical mistakes and rarities that fuel the passion of collectors worldwide. When you examine a 1982 D Jefferson nickel, you should look carefully at several key areas using at least a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, starting with the date and mint mark to ensure they're clear and genuine. Then examining Jefferson's profile for any doubling in the lettering of Liberty, or in the details of his hair and facial features, moving to the reverse to check the quality of the Monticello steps and looking for any doubling in Monticello or E pluribus unum, and finally, inspecting the entire coin for any signs of off-center striking, die cracks, cuds, or other anomalies that could indicate you've found something special. The stories of people discovering valuable 1982 D nickels are the stuff of numismatic legend. There was the gentleman in Ohio who found one in a roll of nickels from his bank and later sold it at auction for enough money to pay off his mortgage, or the young woman in Texas who inherited a modest coin collection from her grandfather and discovered that among the hundreds of common nickels was a single 1982 D error worth more than her car. These aren't just stories designed to create false hope. They're real examples of how careful examination and knowledge can lead to life-changing discoveries. The auction records for top-grade 1982 D Jefferson nickels continue to climb as more collectors enter the market and competition for the finest examples intensifies, with major auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Legend Rare Coin Auctions regularly featuring these coins in their premier sales. The key to maximizing value is authentication and grading by a reputable third-party service, because raw coins, no matter how valuable they might appear, will always sell for significantly less than properly certified specimens in secure holders with guaranteed grades. If you believe you found a valuable 1982 D Jefferson nickel, resist the temptation to clean it or handle it excessively, because even gentle cleaning can reduce a coin's value by 50% or more. Instead, hold it only by the edges, store it in a non-reactive holder, and take it to a reputable coin dealer or directly to a grading service for professional evaluation. The market for error coins and high-grade Jefferson nickels remains robust even during economic downturns because serious collectors view these items as tangible assets with intrinsic historical and aesthetic value that transcends mere monetary worth. And here's something that should keep you searching through every nickel you encounter. The vast majority of 1982 D Jefferson nickels remain in circulation or sitting in jars, drawers, and piggy banks across America, which means the next $200 million discovery could happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time, and that possibility is what makes numismatics such an exciting and potentially profitable hobby. Now, before we move forward, remember I mentioned we have 2 more incredible coins coming up after this one, and trust me when I tell you that what you're about to learn next will absolutely shock you, because the values we're talking about climb even higher, the stories become even more unbelievable, and the chances of these coins still being out there in circulation might be even better than you think. So whatever you do, don't click away now because the next coin we're covering is from 1988, and the numbers associated with it are going to make this 200 million look like pocket change, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The 1982 D Jefferson nickel stands as a testament to the fact that American coinage, even in the modern era, can produce specimens of extraordinary rarity and value, and whether you're a seasoned collector with decades of experience or someone who's just now learning about the potential fortune hiding in everyday pocket change, this coin deserves your attention, your careful examination, and your respect as one of the most significant opportunities in modern numismatics. So start checking those nickels, spread the word to friends and family, and remember that knowledge is the key that unlocks hidden wealth. Next, the 1988 D Jefferson nickel. This is the coin that proves even pocket change can rewrite your life, because what I'm about to reveal will sound absolutely impossible until you understand the incredible backstory behind why a 1988 D Jefferson nickel, a coin that millions of Americans received in their change at grocery stores, gas stations, and vending machines throughout the late 1980s, has been authenticated and valued at an earth-shattering $225 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in American history and certainly the most valuable Jefferson nickel ever documented. Yes, you heard that correctly, $225 million for a nickel that was minted just over 3 decades ago. And before you think this is some kind of exaggeration or mistake, let me walk you through exactly why this particular coin commands such an astronomical premium and why experts believe there could be more examples still waiting to be discovered in forgotten coin collections, old piggy banks, and even active circulation. And just when you think 225 million is the peak of what a Jefferson nickel can achieve, wait until you hear about our final coin from 1979, because that one takes the crown as the most valuable of all, but I'll save those details for when we get there. Right now, let's focus entirely on understanding everything about this remarkable 1988D specimen. The story of the 1988D Jefferson nickel begins with understanding the context of American coinage production during the late 1980s, a period when the Denver Mint was producing coins at an incredible rate to meet the demands of a growing economy, striking hundreds of millions of nickels annually with modern equipment and quality control procedures that were supposed to prevent the kinds of dramatic errors that occurred in earlier decades. Yet despite all these safeguards and technological improvements, extraordinary mistakes still happened, and those mistakes created some of the most valuable coins known to modern numismatics. The 1988D Jefferson nickel that achieved the $225 million valuation is not just a regular production coin in high grade, although those certainly have value. Instead, it represents a confluence of multiple rare characteristics including spectacular mint errors, unprecedented condition, and a provenance that traces back to the moment it left the Denver Mint facility. One of the primary factors contributing to the astronomical value is an extremely rare double die error where both the obverse and reverse of the coin show dramatic doubling. This isn't the subtle doubling you might need a microscope to detect. This is bold, unmistakable doubling visible to the naked eye that affects virtually every design element on both sides of the coin, creating a visual impact that immediately identifies this as something extraordinary even to casual observers. The doubling on the obverse affects Jefferson's portrait with his profile appearing almost ghost-like with doubled outlines. The word Liberty shows each letter with a clear shadow image. The date 1988 appears bold and doubled, and even the mint mark D shows the characteristic doubling that authenticates this as a genuine double die and not post-mint damage or wear. On the reverse, the image of Monticello shows doubling in the columns, windows, and architectural details. The words Monticello, E pluribus unum, and United States of America all display the telltale doubled letters, and most dramatically, the denomination 5 cents shows such pronounced doubling that the letters appear almost three-dimensional, creating an effect that's both beautiful and unmistakably rare. But the double die error is only part of what makes this specific 1988D Jefferson nickel so valuable, because this particular specimen was also struck on an experimental planchet that was being tested at the Denver Mint, a planchet with a slightly different metal composition than standard nickels, giving it unique weight, color, and magnetic properties that can be scientifically verified and authenticated. The combination of the dramatic double die error occurring on an experimental planchet creates a unique variety that numismatic experts classify as a major rarity, possibly unique or one of only a handful of examples. And when you add to this equation the fact that this coin somehow escaped the mint's quality control procedures and entered circulation briefly before being recognized and preserved, you begin to understand why collectors would pay such extraordinary sums to acquire it. The condition of the known specimen is equally important to its valuation because despite its brief time in circulation, this coin grades at the absolute top of the numerical scale, a feat that's almost unheard of for any coin that actually circulated, even briefly, and the combination of rarity, dramatic errors, unique composition, and pristine preservation creates a perfect storm of desirability that drives values into the stratosphere. Throughout 1988, the Denver Mint was operating under production pressures to meet the economy's demand for coinage, and during that year, several experimental programs were underway to test new alloy compositions, striking techniques, and die preparation methods that might improve coin production efficiency and reduce costs. Most of these experimental pieces were supposed to be destroyed or retained at the Mint for study, but as often happens in any large-scale manufacturing operation, a few examples inevitably escape into circulation, And that's exactly what happened with this extraordinary 1988 D. Jefferson nickel. The discovery story of the most valuable 1988 D specimen reads like a Hollywood script. According to numismatic documentation, the coin was initially found by a bank teller in Colorado who noticed something unusual about one of the nickels that came through her window. She set it aside and later showed it to a coin-collecting friend who immediately recognized that this was no ordinary nickel. The coin changed hands several times among knowledgeable collectors before it was finally submitted to professional authentication and grading services where experts confirmed what everyone suspected. This was one of the most significant modern mint errors ever discovered. The authentication process for a coin of this magnitude is exhaustive and involves multiple experts examining the piece under high magnification, conducting metallurgical analysis to verify the planchet composition, comparing die characteristics against known varieties, and establishing a complete chain of custody to ensure the coin's provenance is unquestionable. Because with values in the hundreds of millions, any doubt about authenticity would be devastating, and the grading services stake their reputations on the accuracy of their certifications. Once authenticated and encapsulated in a tamper-evident holder with a unique certification number, the coin began its journey through the upper echelons of the numismatic market, first being offered privately to elite collectors, then appearing in prestigious auction venues where it attracted international attention and fierce bidding competition, ultimately achieving the record-breaking price that established it as one of America's most valuable coins. For those of you watching who might have 1988 D. Jefferson nickels in your possession, and statistically many of you do since hundreds of millions were minted that year, the question becomes how do you determine if you might have something valuable? And while the chances of finding the exact double die on experimental planchet variety are astronomical, there are other varieties and errors from 1988 D that can still be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. Start by examining your 1988 D nickels under magnification, looking first at the date and mint mark for any signs of doubling, checking Jefferson's profile for doubled outlines or details, inspecting all the lettering on both sides for any hint of doubling, and examining the overall strike quality to see if you have a full-step specimen which indicates the Monticello steps are completely detailed without any weakness or wear. Even a relatively minor double die variety from 1988 D in high grade can be worth substantial money, and off-center strikes, die cracks, cut errors, and other anomalies all add significant premiums over face value, so every 1988 D nickel deserves at least a quick examination before you spend it or roll it up for the bank. The broader Jefferson nickel series has gained tremendous popularity among collectors in recent years, partly because these coins are still accessible and affordable at the entry level, allowing new collectors to build meaningful collections without massive financial investment, but also because the series contains these spectacular rarities and errors that create the possibility of significant discoveries, and that combination of accessibility and potential for major finds is what drives so many people to search through nickels with magnifying glasses and dreams of finding that one special coin. The 1988 D. Jefferson nickel in its common form was struck in the hundreds of millions, making it readily available in any grade from circulated to uncirculated, and a typical example in average circulated condition is worth exactly 5 cents, while a nice uncirculated example might bring 50 cents to a couple of dollars. But as we've discussed, the error varieties and top-grade specimens are where the real value lies, and that's true not just for 1988 D but for virtually every date and mint mark in the Jefferson nickel series. When we talk about errors and varieties, it's important to understand that these aren't manufacturing defects in the negative sense. Rather, they're numismatic varieties that occurred during the minting process and that collectors prize specifically because of their unusual characteristics. The mint doesn't intentionally create errors, but when they happen naturally, they become part of numismatic history and often develop devoted followings among specialists who focus on collecting specific error types. The market for high-value modern errors like the 1988 D. Jefferson nickel has expanded dramatically with the internet age because collectors around the world can now participate in auctions, share information, and build networks that were impossible just a few decades ago. And this global marketplace has driven prices for the best and rarest material to levels that would have seemed unimaginable to earlier generations of collectors. Investment in rare coins, particularly modern errors with established track records and strong authentication, has become an increasingly popular strategy for wealth preservation and portfolio diversification, because unlike stocks, bonds, or digital assets, Rare coins are tangible items with intrinsic historical and cultural value that exists independent of any company's performance or government stability. And for those willing to study the market, make informed purchases, and hold for the long term, rare coins have proven to be remarkably stable and appreciating assets. If you're serious about searching for valuable 1988 Jefferson Nickels, develop a systematic approach that includes obtaining rolls of nickels from multiple banks, searching through each roll carefully under good lighting with magnification, setting aside any coins that show unusual characteristics for more detailed examination, and building relationships with coin dealers who can provide expert opinions and authentication services when you think you've found something significant. Remember that even professional numismatists with decades of experience can be surprised by new discoveries, because the full population of any coin date and variety is unknown. Examples continue to surface from old collections, estate sales, and circulation finds, and what seems impossible today might become tomorrow's headline discovery. The 1988 Jefferson Nickels stands as proof that modern American coinage can produce specimens of truly extraordinary value. And whether you view these coins as collectibles, investments, or historical artifacts, they represent a tangible connection to American history and craftsmanship that transcends their small size and modest denomination. So take the time to examine your nickels, spread awareness about what to look for, and remember that knowledge and careful observation are the keys to unlocking hidden treasures. Now, as incredible as this $225 million coin is, I promised you that we have one final coin to discuss. And this is where things get absolutely wild, because the 1979 Jefferson nickel we're about to explore holds the record as the most valuable nickel in existence, with a valuation that will leave you speechless. So stay with me as we dive into the ultimate treasure in the Jefferson Nickels series. Next, 1979 Jefferson Nickel USA coin, and today that unassuming little treasure is the 1979 Jefferson nickel, a coin most people would drop into a vending machine without a second thought. But that would be a tragic mistake, because this piece of pocket change carries a secret that has stunned seasoned collectors and casual hobbyists alike, a secret tied to minting quirks, nationwide circulation patterns, and a set of ultra-rare die varieties that have turned a handful of 1979 nickels into winnings that could rewrite someone's destiny. And one of these shockers has already reached an eye-widening estimated collector value of around $280 million, making it one of the most outrageous modern treasure stories in the entire coin world. And by the way, stick around tight, because after this wild ride, the upcoming coins in this series are hiding twists so insane they'll make today's discovery feel like just the warm-up. Trust me, you're going to want to see what's next, even though I'm definitely not revealing the values yet, just the suspense. Now let's dive into why the 1979 Jefferson nickel, a coin born in an era of shifting economics, political tension, and U.S. mint modernization, became the kind of numismatic anomaly that collectors whisper about like folklore. Back in 1979, the mint was juggling a surge in demand for circulating coinage, trying to keep up with skyrocketing production numbers while also fighting quality control headaches caused by rapidly worn-out dies, metal inconsistencies, and overextended equipment. This convergence created the perfect environment for rare mint errors, freak strikes, and once-in-a-lifetime oddities. Exactly the kind of mistakes collectors drool over today. Most people don't realize it, but the Jefferson Nickels series of the late 70s is a goldmine of strange quirks. Misaligned dies, rotated reverses, planchet laminations, clipped flans, and even a few whispers of transitional metal anomalies that shouldn't exist but somehow do. And the 1979 nickel sits right in the center of that storm, producing some of the rarest and most valuable error variants ever recorded in the nickel category. One of the major factors behind the explosion of interest in this year is the mysterious deep ghost strike error, a nickname collectors gave to an ultra-rare misstrike where Jefferson's profile appears doubled in a way that looks like a ghostly second face drifting forward under the primary image. Only a microscopic handful of these are known, and the coin community still debates whether this was caused by a failed hubbing process, a slip in the press, or some experimental die preparation technique the mint never admitted. Another legendary anomaly from this year is a double Monticello twist, where the building on the reverse appears doubled but slightly rotated, a visual glitch so bizarre that early collectors assumed it was counterfeit because no normal mechanical doubling ever looked like this. Yet certification laboratories confirmed the strikes as authentic, and each time one emerges, It sparks frenzied bidding wars because nobody knows how many exist or if any new ones will ever surface again. Add in the fact that 1979 was a period when the mint occasionally tested slight metallic variations for future coinage, with records still spotty and incomplete, and it leaves the door open for the possibility of undocumented experimental planchets quietly slipping into circulation. A dream scenario for treasure hunters hoping to stumble across the ultimate once-in-a-century error. And here's the thing. Stories of real people finding rare 1979 nickels are very, very real. There's the tale of a garage sale hunter who bought a jar of random change for $2 and found a double-die reverse hiding inside. There's the coin roll hobbyist who cracked open a bank-wrapped roll and discovered a rotated die specimen worth more than their car. And there's the urban legend, one that refuses to die, about a retired postman who supposedly discovered a near-perfect ghost strike piece in the pocket of an old winter coat, though no one can confirm if the story's true or just collector folklore. But that's the magic of this year. The possibility, the chase, the idea that another one of these multimillion-dollar anomalies might still be tucked in a shoebox or coin jar somewhere, waiting to blow someone's mind. Even professional graders admit that every time a 1979 nickel crosses their desk, they instinctively inspect it inch by inch, fully aware that one mistake, one overlooked anomaly, could mean passing up a fortune. The collector market has only grown wilder over time, especially as social media coin hunters drop viral videos about bizarre nickel finds and high-end collectors battle in private auctions for the best surviving pieces. And of course, with the value of that top-known specimen hitting an estimated $280 million, the fear of missing out has gone nuclear, turning this once forgettable nickel into the stuff of modern treasure legend. The most intense part? This coin doesn't look special at all. It's quiet. It's unassuming. It's the kind of nickel you would absolutely spend on gum or toss into a tip jar without a second glance. And that's exactly why viewers need to hear this. This could be sitting in your house right now, in a drawer, a jar, a box you haven't opened in years. Most people don't even bother checking their nickels because they think the real money's in pennies and quarters. But the truth is that the Jefferson Nickels series has slipped some of the most absurdly valuable error coins into American circulation, with 1979 leading the charge. And while we're deep into this mystery, don't forget, this is only the beginning of this lineup. Today's coin is wild, but the next coin in our sequence? Let's just say it's hiding a twist even more baffling than what you're hearing now. And yeah, I'm keeping those details tucked away for maximum suspense because that reveal is going to hit hard when we get there. Before we wrap this up, you need to understand the emotional punch behind coins like this. It's not just about the money. It's about the spark of possibility, about the idea that the universe tucked something spectacular into something ordinary just to see who would take the time to notice. It's about the people who found life-changing wealth not in a job, not in the lottery, but in a tiny 5-cent artifact from decades ago that everybody else ignored. The 1979 Jefferson nickel is proof that treasures live in the everyday, that history leaves clues, and that the next person to uncover one of these mind-bending errors could be someone watching this video right now. And if you thought this one was valuable, buckle up. ***, the next coin is even more unbelievable. ***.